Welcome back to Mr. Vance's basement again for another art lesson this week. Sorry I never made a video like this last week, but, it didn't really work out. But anyways, we're back again this week with another lesson, and we're going to be talking all about abstract designs and analogous color schemes this week. So I have my iPad here. You might have a Chromebook or whatever device you're doing your distance learning on, but on this, I have the slideshow that I made for this week's lesson. So I'm going to go through some of this with Johnny and you, then we'll get to the actual art making, and you guys can hopefully get a better idea for what it is that we're trying to do this week, okay? So on the iPad here, I have a color wheel, okay? If I zoom in on it, I might be able to do that over here. You can see it a little bit bigger, Johnny, okay? As we go around the color wheel, what are some of the colors that you see? Just the main ones. We have yellow, green, blue, purple, red, and orange, okay? And then in between all those colors, you see these little circles, okay? Those are another set of colors, but we're going to talk about the three sets of colors before we start, okay? And the first set of colors are the primary colors. Do you know what those are?
Yes.
What are they?
The primary colors are red,
Yep.
yellow,
Yep.
and blue.
Yep. Good job. High five. Nice work. So the primary colors are our most basic colors. You guys, most of you know that, but you have to remember there might be some kindergartners or first graders watching this that don't know these things yet. So the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue, and they're the most basic colors. And we use those to mix to make just about every other color out there. But whenever you mix two primary colors together, Johnny, you get something called a secondary color. And a secondary color is something like an orange that's made by mixing red and yellow together, or green that's made by mixing blue and yellow together, or purple that's made by mixing red and blue together, okay? So those are the secondary colors. Those are the two main sets of colors, but there's those third ones in there, those little dots, okay? And those are called intermediate colors. Can you say intermediate, Johnny?
Intermediate.
Intermediate. So intermediate, sometimes I call them tertiary colors in class. I like to say that word. It's interchangeable. Whichever one you want to call them is fine with me. But the tertiary, intermediate colors are the colors that are made when you mix a primary color with a secondary color. However, it has to be right next to it on the color wheel, okay? If you mix like yellow with purple, that's mixing a primary color with a secondary color. It's not going to make a tertiary color because they're not near each other on the color wheel. And that's what we're focusing on today, is colors that are close to each other on the color wheel. Something like yellow and green, blue and purple. We'll get more into that in just a minute, okay? But do you understand that, buddy, so far? Yes? Okay. All right, I know it's a lot of information. So next slide, here we go. Hey, look here. Color schemes, all right? So we're going to focus on using something called an analogous color scheme for this, for our work this week that I've already started here. And an analogous color scheme, as you can see if you watch or go through the slideshow before you do your work or ask me questions, you can see that an analogous color scheme is all, like I said, colors that are what? Are they next to each other or far apart?
Next.
They're all next to each other. So this particular analogous color scheme right here is green, blue, and then a little blue-violet. But those greens and blues with a little bit of purple in there, that's kind of what they chose. That's their set of colors. Usually it's 3 colors, maybe 4 colors that are next to each other, but not many more than that. Because if you get up to like 5 colors, then you're not next to each other anymore, and it's not an analogous color scheme because you're using colors that are far away from each other on the color wheel, okay? You understand that, buddy? All right, sit up. All right, so if I look at this right here, if I bring up this color wheel, all right, can you show me which colors you might think make an analogous color scheme? Remember, they have to be next to each other, okay? I want you to pick 2 or 3 colors that you think would work for that. Okay, just show me. Purple, okay, and what else?
Pink.
That's red, violet, okay,
Red,
but
violet.
so purple, red, violet, red, And then what about red, orange? You could do that too if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You could do this whole spectrum of colors here. Now you have to be careful because if you mix orange and violet together, that's not going to make a nice new color. So we want to try.
Brown.
It's going to make a kind of brownish color. Not really. It's more like a grayish maroon kind of color that it's going to make. But anyways,
Maroon.
we want to focus on not mixing our colors today, okay? We're trying to keep them separate, all right? Do you understand that? All right, so are you going to use that for your artwork, for your color scheme? Those colors? I like that. That's going to look really cool. It'll look like a sunset. All right. Now, the next thing we have to talk about is an abstract design. Okay, look here, Johnny. Hey, pay attention, okay? So I have mine made here already. You can see, and if you followed in the slideshow, you'll see the supplies that I used for this are paper. I have a ruler or a straight edge. I used a pencil.
This is metal.
Yep, it is. And I used oil pastels, okay? Johnny is going to use a pencil for his drawing, but what are you going to use to add color, buddy? Because it's your favorite thing to use. What are you going to use? You use it every week.
I think they know it.
What is it? What is it?
What?
You're going to use watercolors, okay? He's going to have to be They might. He's going to have to be a little bit more careful than I am because watercolors can bleed into other areas. But whatever you have, crayons, colored pencils, markers are excellent for this because of how clean of a line they make. Any of it'll work. That's fine. So anyways, abstract designs. What we're going to do now is we're going to start working on coming up with that design idea. So an abstract design is simply just a design that's made up with lines and shapes and colors. That's it. They can be arranged in a pattern. They don't have to be arranged in any kind of pattern at all. It's up to you. The big thing is it shouldn't represent anything from real life. So when we're making abstract artwork, we're not drawing sharks or bridges or making people or robots or anything like that. When you're making abstract work, you're focusing on lines and shapes and colors, okay? All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna flip over to the top-down view. I'm gonna go through the steps of doing the tracing and drawing to make our design with Johnny. And then we'll get to the time lapse and show you how we wrap these up when we are all done. Okay?
By the way, we have a kitten.
We do have a kitten. Okay, Johnny was insistent that this cat, or our kitten, is in this video. Let me see if I can grab him so I can show you. Where are you at, Jonesy? There he is.
Right there.
He's got sawdust all over him because he's hanging out in our workshop. But this is our new kitten, Jonesy. Johnny wanted to show you. He got him for his birthday last week. 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Early birthday present.
Yes, he's a good little cat.
Yeah.
He's got sawdust all over him hanging out down here.
Yeah.
Can you say hi? Say hi. All right. We're going to put him back on the ground. Yeah, go play. All right. Anyways, we're going to switch to the top-down view. Here we go.
Bye.
All right. So, Johnny, what are you going to use to trace on your abstract design? What do you have? Tell people. What did you pick?
I picked this long comb.
So he's got a couple combs here. He was kind of intrigued by the shape that these made as well as the noise that he can make with them. I found this little plastic lid to pretend play cooking set. That worked really well for tracing my lines. I used, a ruler for my straight edges. If you don't have these things at home, there's nothing wrong with just freehanding this and just drawing your lines and drawing your shapes. You can achieve the same thing without the straight edges. It might not look as neat, but that's okay. Art doesn't have to be neat. Hey, buddy, you coming up here to see us? All right, so Johnny, you're gonna need a ruler and you're gonna need your comb, okay? All right, so the first thing you need to do, hey, you need to focus, because if you can't focus, the cat's gonna have to go in the other room, okay? Look here. All right, you're gonna take this and I want you to trace around your combs that you picked for your shape. We gotta hold them still when we trace. That's very important because if you don't hold it still, it's gonna slide all over the place and you're not gonna get a nice clean outline of the shape. Okay, so there's one. Once you put that one down, I can hold it for you. You want it right there? Is that cool? Yeah. Okay, I'll hold it while you trace it. Now you know how to trace, right? Okay, do it as neatly as you can. If you make a mistake, it's okay. Stay close to the object. It's all right if there's some bumps there. Go all the way across. Got it. Okay, around, all the way. Okay, good job. All right, now let's trace it. Let's do one more. Do you want to do the small one or the big one? Big one? Okay, where do you want this last trace to go?
Maybe through the middle.
You want it to go across like that? That's fine. They can crisscross and overlap. All right, go ahead, buddy.
I mean, like...
Through the middle of both of them?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. I got it. Go all the way around. It's okay. It's all right. That's why you have an eraser. If you make a mistake, we'll fix it in the end. All the way. You see, I'm holding this still for him. Younger students, if you need a set of hands, maybe see if you have a brother or sister that can hold this for you, or a parent. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's just kind of erase the spots where we goofed up a little bit here. Connect that and that. Okay, now your ruler, okay? So he traced his objects 3 times. I did mine 3 times. His are overlapping, mine are not. They're separate. That's your choice. Now he's going to make some lines. So I made on my paper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines, okay? So 6 is probably a good amount. The less lines you make, the less spaces you're going to have to fill in, the less detailed your work is going to look. It's going to look more simple because it's not as crowded. The more lines you add, the less shapes you're going to have, the smaller they're going to be, the more detailed and crowded it's going to appear. So you have to decide how you want it to look. I really don't recommend making a whole bunch of lines and a whole bunch of shapes, because what you're going to do then is you're going to create a situation for yourself where you have 100 little teeny tiny shapes like this to color in, and that might not be the easiest thing depending on what you're working with, okay? All right, buddy, show me where you want the first line to go. Arrange that ruler going across your paper in some way. You can go top to bottom, left to right, diagonal, however you want it. It just has to go all the way across the paper in some way. You want it to go right down the middle like that? You sure? What if we move it over a little bit so you get some bigger spaces? There you go, like that?
Yes.
Okay, now take your pencil and I want you to slide it right along that ruler just like it's a train on the train tracks. Keep it right next to it. All the way. Good job. Okay, so that's 1 line, all right? If he's gonna do 6, we've got 5 more to go. Where do you want the next one to go? It can go this way, you show me, okay? Okay, hold it still. Nope, you want to do that side or this side? Which side of the line? Okay, all right, go ahead. All right.
That looks cool.
It does look cool. All right. I'm thinking, so that yours isn't so crazy, maybe we should just do like a couple more. What about that right there?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
This time I'm going to start from this side.
All the way across. Okay, let's see what we got. What do you think? 1 more line?
3 more, 4, 6.
We don't have to do 6, buddy. If
I want to do 6.
You want to do 6? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we do one going like this way?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be good.
On this side of the ruler. Dude, Jonesy, what are you doing, buddy?
He loves you.
Yeah, he just wants to be up here with us and see what we're doing. Look,
He's
he's got
playing.
sawdust all over him. Ugh. All over my lap. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we do 1 across corner to corner like this right there. Trying to help you so you don't make it too crowded here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And where do you want your last line to be? You could do it just like this right here.
I have a good one.
Okay.
No, we already did that.
Yeah, I would avoid going across the middle because you're going to make really small spaces if you divide that space up anymore. I think it's good to try to keep some larger and some smaller spaces so you have some variety. If you put all of your spaces or your shapes in the middle and keep overlapping them, it's going to get really confusing, and then you're going to have all this empty space around here. So let's fill that up. Perfect. I love it. Okay. All right. So he's done with his ruler now.
He's drinking that water.
We don't drink the paint water, Jonesy. All right. So we're done with our ruler. We'll put that off to the side. He's done with his pencil. Let me see. Okay. Now, what you need to do, Johnny, is you need to start looking at your colors. So back when we looked at the color wheel, you had decided on
Purple.
you were going to use purple, red, and orange as your span of colors for your analogous color scheme. Okay. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of and picked out in our tray. So where's your oranges? Where's your oranges? You got that. There's one right here. Okay. Let's take out, what I'm going to do, Johnny, is I'm going to take out the colors that you're not going to use. Okay. All right. All right, so we are going to start finishing filling these in with color. Johnny is going to be using watercolors, okay? I am going to keep going with my oil pastels. Like I said, whatever you have at home, crayons are fine, colored pencils are fine, any sort of coloring utensil will work for this. We're going to switch to the time lapse when we finish these up, and then we'll show you the end result, okay? So we're done with the time lapse. We got our work done. Just to show you what we came up with, I chose an analogous color scheme that was mostly greens and yellows. I went out of my way. No, there's no blue in here.
Look.
That's not blue. That's like a light green. It's like a seafoam green. I chose something light so there would be some contrast. But anyways, I colored all mine in and did the black lines. You don't have to do the black lines. Some people like it with just the plain shapes. It's your choice. So that's what I came up with the oil pastels, and then Johnny used watercolors. He struggled a little bit with the watercolors staying neatly in their spaces in the middle, but he chose an analogous color scheme of oranges and reds and purples. So you can see, if you look at both of these, analogous color schemes have similar but still a little different colors on them. And that's what analogous means. It means similar, Johnny, shh. It means similar, but a little different, okay? So this is what we came up with this week. Show me what you come up with. Send it to me when you're done. Feel free to ask any questions, but please make sure you go through the slideshow and read all the materials before you ask your question on Google Classroom, because usually, like 99.9% of the time, the answer is there. You just need to search for it, okay? That's a skill that you need to learn to have, to be resourceful so that you guys can solve your own problems and not always just rely on somebody else to tell you exactly what you're supposed to do, okay? All right, anyways, that's it for this week. I'll see you guys back next week. Have a good one.
Say bye, Jonesy.
Say bye.